Good evening, everyone. Chip Cooper for FTC Guardian and my partner, Alan Cutts. This is the first Hangout in the month of August, and we're definitely closing in on the end of summer because school has started in the two states nearest to me. Georgia started, I believe, 2 weeks ago, and Florida, where I live, started this week. Everybody's going back to school. Time to get serious again. If you're an adult like us, though, we're either serious or unserious all the time. So, how are you doing? I think Alan's been underwater up there where he's living.
Oh gosh, it's been raining. Yeah, it's been raining. Cats and dogs here. It's just I think we've had a week of rain. I've got a little pond in the back of my yard. It's gotten so much water back here, so it's my willow tree can't even take anymore. So it's drowning.
Excellent.
So, yeah.
Well, you'll get out of that soon enough. So
yeah, I leave this week. If you're in the Beaufort County area this weekend, if you live there or whatever, send me an email. Look me up. I will be on Harbor Island starting Saturday morning. I fly into Charleston on Friday night, and then we're going to be on Beaufort Island, on Beaufort County, but specifically on Harbor Island. So if you're in that area, shoot me an email.
Right. The water should be nice up there. All sorts of good things to do. I don't know about golf. Is there a lot of golf in the area, or you're just going to hang out?
There's not a lot, but they do have golf in the area. We're actually looking for maybe a place for a second home, a place to retire, something. So we're going to spend 3 days on Harbor Island. Cool.
You need to get yourself an SUP board and paddle around.
Exactly. SUP, a paddle board, all that stuff.
Good. Excellent. All right. Well, let's get started. Hopefully right now I'm moving to share my screen, and I believe it should be on your screen right now. Is that right, Alan? Do you see it?
Yes, it is. Yep, I can see it.
See the title there. California amends its auto renew law, and the acronym, of course, is ARL, effective a little more than a month ago, July 1 of this year. And the bottom line here, before we get started, I'll tell you, if you are involved in a continuity plan or other terms we'll talk about in just a minute, continuity income plan, that sort of thing, negative option, of course, I mean, if you're selling anywhere, you're selling into California, then you're subject to the jurisdiction of California law. And that's how the online world works. You know that we've been talking a lot about GDPR. And if you're selling into the EU and targeting EU residents, then you're subject to their GDPR. So it's the same here with California, in particular, this particular auto renew law. So that's what we're going to be talking about. And you've seen this many times if you've been a member for a while. The housekeeping announcement is that this presentation is for informational purposes only. It is not legal advice, and we're not affiliated with the Federal Trade Commission. So let's talk about this term, auto renew. And this is sort of a new term that seems to be taking over the discussion about the other terms you see indicated there by the bullets that were very much in vogue just a few years ago. Continuity income is one we've all used a lot. And the bottom one, recurring income. As marketers, we certainly know what that means. But the middle one, negative option, is a term the FTC has used that means the same thing as continuity income and recurring income. And you can see the two arrows down at the bottom if you're still not quite sure what we're talking about and what we mean by the term auto renew. That'll hopefully make it abundantly clear. Essentially, it is pay so many dollars typically per month until you cancel. So there is no fixed term on the agreement. The customer is locked in to pay an X dollars per month until the customer opts out, which can be a long time. And if the customer sort of forgets that he or she is involved in this negative option plan, it can go on for a very long time. And you're guaranteed at some point to have a very unhappy customer when they start really checking their credit card statement carefully and see these payments that they were sort of aware of. And typically you see this type of clause or payment scheme in a subscription agreement. You know, every month you're going to be paying this amount until you cancel. So that's what we're talking about here. And the FTC has for a long time been very much involved in working with consumers who've been tricked into these continuity income schemes and who don't really realize that they're in it. In fact, somehow were deceived in order to get into it. So as we'll see in a minute, if you're a longtime member, you'll be aware that the the Congress passed back in 2010, was signed into law by Obama in 2010, a statute with the acronym known as ROSCA, which was the first real attempt to regulate auto-renew schemes. And the FTC has been extremely busy over the years going after online marketers who've been violating ROSCA, even to the extent of developing this infographic that I'm about to run through with you on the FTC website. And you can see here from the subtitle, Inside a Low-Cost Trial Scam. We're going to go through this step by step. Some of these scams are not just low cost, it's free. You know, have a free 1 month or a free ebook or a free this or a free that. And then what happens is the freebie actually then becomes an upsell to the monthly payment or some sort of membership. And then maybe there's an upsell on top of that. So it's either low cost or no cost to get in, but then that changes. So this is how the FTC sort of diagrams the process through this infographic. And you can see at the very top, we're talking about a very much a consumer-based product, teeth whitener, right? Everybody, I guess, a lot of people are interested in making sure their teeth are a little whiter. And you can see here this little circle that represents the typical consumer. I'd like a trial. Why not? So that's what the consumer is thinking when the consumer sees this much of the ad, right? So the FTC in this infographic is showing you what the marketer is presenting, but also what the consumer perceives that is going on. So here, the ad says that you can get a low-cost trial, $1.03 plus shipping costs. Sounds good. And you see what the consumer expects. Hey, that's pretty cool. I like it. So the problem here for the consumer is either for a freebie or a low-cost trial, the marketer gets the credit card information. So the marketer now has this credit card information, and that's where the scam really gets pretty serious, because now the marketer can charge the subscription payments, the auto renew payments against that card. So here you see that it looks like a low cost or a freebie, in this example, $1.03. But what actually happens is a trial pack and a monthly subscription to Product A of almost $100, which of course is not what the consumer was expecting. Then the consumer goes to checkout, and there's some other clever copywriting here that results in an upsell or actually a trial package and a monthly subscription to Product B, right? So there you go to from Product A to Product B, and then let me click this button here, go to Product B, and then done. I can't wait to try this out. That's what the consumer is thinking. But then there's this upsell. Now the total cost is almost $200 a month. And you see what the consumer is thinking. This isn't what I expected or wanted. So the lure is a low-cost trial or a freebie that then converts into, through clever drafting and copywriting, a very unexpected charge of a subscription or membership, and then possibly even an upsell to that. So that's how the FTC views continuity income or auto renew plans. And I'll acquaint you with this guy, Jesse Willems here, who has to be the #1 auto renew scammer of all time. You see here back in February of 2012, He's lived in Canada, but the FTC went after him up there, fined him $350 million in cash, which was suspended, and they took almost all of his property, his homes, his cars, his art collection, all of this stuff. And he was doing very similar things to what you just saw in the infographic, right? A lot of teeth whitener, weight loss, all sorts of things that a lot of consumers are interested in. So he's the worst violator of all, Jesse Willems, and I'll bring that up to you. We talked about him a few years ago in some earlier Hangouts. So in 2010, the U.S. Congress, which of course seems to be able to agree on very, very little, even back then, certainly these days, decided that we really needed to take steps to protect consumers from this type of continuity billing plan. So this statute, known as the Restore Online Shoppers Confidence Act of 2010, proposed to do just that. And here it is in a very, very abbreviated form. These plans, continuity billing, auto renew, etc., are prohibited unless the seller does these three things. One, clearly discloses all material terms. And one of the things that's really important with respect to this type of legislation, and we'll see in just a minute what California has done, is the fact that certain disclosures need to be made before something happens, typically before the consumer actually pulls out a credit card. Before is very important. And you can see in number one here, disclose all material terms of the deal before obtaining a consumer's billing information, which means before they actually input that information into the checkout form. Number two, get the consumer's express informed consent before the charge is made, right? Before submission. And then number three, a simple mechanism for stopping the recurring charges so that the consumer can opt out. And this statute, ROSCA, is, of course, enforced by the FTC. And you will see if you go to the member area and search there in the search box for the term ROSCA, R-O-S-C-A, there are two prior Hangouts talking about very significant cases construing ROSCA. So that's there available for you if you make that search in the members area. Now we move to this year, and the effective date is July 1, which is about a month and a half ago. California had already an auto renew statute, but they amended it and upgraded it in these respects. Number one, if a consumer accepted an auto renewal offer online, which of course in most cases they do. Now, you know, auto renewal doesn't always appear online. For example, if you're joining a health club, typically you'll sign a document, a piece of paper, which is the contract for, you know, your continuity payments for your membership. So we're talking not only about online continuity programs, but offline as well. So this is important. If the consumer accepted an auto renewal offer online, which of course is what probably 99% of our members are going to be involved in, companies must allow consumers to terminate or opt out exclusively online. What has typically happened in the past is an 800 number that nobody would answer, that sort of thing. And so now if the consumer buys online, they can opt out online. Number two, and then for trials, the new law requires a clear and conspicuous explanation of the price that will be charged after the trial ends, or the manner in which the subscription or purchasing agreement pricing will change upon the conclusion of the trial. And this is the information that was conspicuously absent in a lot of cases that got consumers into trouble. They only saw the freebie or the low cost, and they didn't really understand what was happening and understand that there was, you know, a per month membership or subscription fee or a price increase or whatever. So now this new statute requires that type of disclosure to be made. Now it's important to understand, as the arrow is pointing out at the bottom of the slide, that these requirements, these new requirements in California that are already in effect, actually exceed the ROSCA requirements by the federal statute which the FTC is enforcing. So that strongly suggests that you really need to comply with the California updated statute, and then you won't have to worry about ROSCA, right? So here is the consequences for failure to comply. There are civil penalties and class action suits. And the more recent actions, even before this statute became effective, were in the $2.5 million and up range. So it's the kind of thing you really want to avoid. So now we get to the meat and potatoes of this presentation, and that is the 7 auto-renew recommendations that would get you into compliance with respect to the California statute, and as just pointed out, which are, as a group, more strict than the ROSCA requirements. So therefore, focus on these. And I'm going to go through these fairly quickly, but what you really ought to do is to come back tomorrow morning after I upload the replay video and copy this stuff down verbatim, and make sure your program, if you're using a continuity income plan, actually complies. Number 1, use clear and conspicuous language in all terms, both the initial offer and the cancellation policies. Number 2, tell consumers of cancellation policies and provide cancellation instructions. And here we have a before. There are going to be 2 others. So there's a total of 3 befores in this 7 recommendations. So tell them about the cancellation policies and instructions on how to cancel before you permit a consumer to purchase anything, right? Before. Number 3, make a cancellation process simple to use and ensure that it can be used online, not just through a telephone. But if they sign up online, it's got to be exclusively an opt-out online. All right, now we move to the remaining 4 of the 7. Number 4, consider an arbitration provision, and we're going to have in the near future a hangout devoted to what an arbitration provision is, and we'll give you some sample language. Now, it's not a silver bullet. It's not going to always work because a number of states are somewhat suspicious of arbitration provisions because it denies a consumer the right to a jury trial, right? So there's a strong feeling in terms of public policy that arbitration provisions are either against public policy, or if not, there are some pretty serious restrictions on what the provisions should say. And we're going to devote a hangout soon about that and provide some sample language. Number 5, program your checkout routine, basically called the online interface, to obtain the consumer's affirmative consent, again, before charging their credit cards or other payment methods. Number 6, clearly disclose any and all material changes to terms before they take effect. That's the 3rd and final before. And then number 7, confirm all terms by providing an acknowledgement with all relevant offer terms and cancellation policy and procedures through an email receipt. So there you have the 7 recommendations, and it would be, I think, to your benefit to copy these down verbatim tomorrow or sometime after we post that. This is really the essence of this presentation. The rest was sort of introduction and giving you a good background, but this is really what you need to take away. So you also should understand that over 20 states have auto-renew statutes. However, the California one, as indicated in point number 2 there, recently updated, is the strictest of all the states, including the federal government's ROSCA statute. So therefore, number 3, it just makes common sense. Make sure you follow the new California updates, which we just itemized in the 7 recommendations. So if you're following the new California updates, you should have everything else complied with and checked off. So now we look at the takeaways before we go into Q&A. Number 1, the auto-renew laws regulate continuity, negative option, and recurring revenue plans. And you need to think about subscriptions. That will give you, I guess, the best understanding of what this is all about. Number 2, the FTC enforces ROSCA. Very important to know. And then number three, California's updated auto renew law is the strictest among over 20 state laws, including ROSCA. Therefore, the last bullet, follow these 7 recommendations and you should be in good shape going forward. These are the search tags that I'm going to include along with the replay video up tomorrow morning early. Auto renew law, California auto renew law, ROSCA continuity billing plan, negative option, recurring income plan, and subscription agreement. So that is the conclusion of my presentation. I'm going to remove, I think I just did, the share screen, and so you can see me, and I believe there's Alan. So you can see both of us now.
Yep.
And I'm going to ask Alan if we have questions.
Just a quick one I saw here is what does ROSCA stand for?
As indicated in one of the slides, the Restore Online, what is it? Restore Online something Consumer Confidence Act. You know, when they try to put together the name for a statute, they try to come up with something that you can remember easily, right? And that hopefully has what appears to be some connection with what the statute is all about. And the classic one is the CAN-SPAM Act, right? Dealing with unsolicited commercial email. But if you go back to the title of that darn thing, the word pornography is in there to get the P in spam, right? So it's almost impossible to remember the actual name of the statute, but everybody can remember the CAN-SPAM Act. And this is almost as bad. ROSCA, it's Restore Online something.
Credibility?
Nope. Confidence, whatever.
Or online.
You can see it if you go back and look at the replay video. It's on slide number 2 or 3, I believe. All right.
Okay. And Christina, yes, the replays are in the membership area, usually the next day. And no, we don't do the slides. Chip doesn't do he does everything in, what's your slide? What's the company? What's the slide thing you use?
It's called Prezi, Prezi. On that platform.
Yeah, he does everything in Prezi, so we don't really put the slides up, but we do make all the videos, all of them. If you look through, you'll see, I don't know, maybe 100 since 2014, 2 a month Hangout. So you'll see those.
Of course, there are 2 ways to see the. One is, as I don't usually use this method. Alan points it out to me a lot. When I forget, it's there. But there's a link on the right side of the dashboard page, the main page of the membership, where you can just go click and you can see in reverse chronological order all of our Hangout links. You click the link, see the video. The other way is to go to the search box and just search ROSCA, ROSCA, and you'll see this one. Plus, you'll see the 2 ROSCA ones as well. Or if you key in auto renew, you'll see this one as well. You can just.
We've had several people look it up. It's a Restore Online Shoppers Confidence Act.
There you go. Who did that?
Oh, a bunch of people have.
I can't remember.
Christina, George, Misty.
Restore Online Shoppers Confidence Act, ROSCA.
Restore Online Customer Confidence.
Oh, okay. All right. Whatever.
No, Restore Online Shoppers Confidence, something like that.
Yeah, but it's really gobbledygook because they tried to come up with something. Apparently, ROSCA was something they felt we could remember.
Yeah, yeah.
CAN-SPAM, I think, takes the #1 prize for the name of a statute that makes no sense when you look at the actual name.
Yep.
Right.
Okay, Misty had a question. What is the situation when a free offer is made in exchange for an email, but nothing arrives? My example refers to information. Examples refers to information offers. When I complained, I got a link exactly the same as before. I reply, free offer. If the free offer is a free offer.
I'm not sure I understand. I think it's as simple as what Alan said. A free offer is a free offer. If you make the offer, they actually provide you their email address in order to receive it. That is their email address is something of value. And if you think at all about the importance of privacy and data security these days, it's really it's almost like currency
Oh
providing
yeah.
information. So the problem is you've made an offer. It's been accepted. Theoretically, there's and there's value that's been paid, consideration. So it's probably, in a very technical sense, an enforceable contract. However, nobody's going to sue you for not sending the free ebook or whatever it is, right?
Yeah.
But technically, it's a contract, and you need to live up to what you promised, because it's enforceable theoretically, in my view.
Yeah, Christina, the Hangouts are just on the right side. Chip doesn't provide the slides. We've got the video that we're doing right now, so you can go back and watch the video right there. So if you just log in on the right side, just go down. It says Hangouts. It says text Hangouts.
Click it. See this one, but I think it's pretty easy to advance. That you don't have to sit
It's on YouTube. Yeah, it's a YouTube video, so you can do whatever you need to with it.
You can advance to those pages with the red slide that give you the 7 recommendations. You can move it back and forth.
Yep. Okay. Misty said, was a consumer in her question, I think. Let me see, what else is there? If you got a question, make sure you mark them as a question, because they're hard to read if I don't see them as a question. Let me show us. Okay, I think we've got all the main questions. If you have any other questions, that's Jolene. Yeah, I mean it. And if you really think about what Chip said, it's currency these days. I mean, take it a step further. Your computer, you landing on a page, is currency. I'm running ads day in and day out. They do nothing but pixel people. That's their entire purpose in life.
Pixel them for tracking purposes.
And to show them other ads. For example, with FTC Guardian, with FTC Guardian, we're always trying to get more members, right? So we're driving traffic to articles, and the articles don't do anything but give them content. But now I can set a pixel and I can send them ads. Hey, go to one of our webinars, sign up for a webinar, get one of our downloads, do something else. So even the pixel itself is currency in a way to use it, right? So
it's not anything to be taken lightly when you induce someone to give up their personal information, email address, name, that sort of thing. You really need to follow up with your promise.
Yep.
Any other questions? Anybody have questions? If it's a question, please mark it as a question so that I can see it in the box. Because the other ones. Well, instead of asking questions,
here's one. It says, let me see, Shelly, someone actually sued a local mall in the area I live in because the person fell asleep and missed an appointment. I don't know.
I'm not sure what the question.
Yeah. Well, I don't see a question in it now. And the other one is somebody just has they have a home near where I'm going. So they were telling me where their house was on north of Charleston. So that's not a question. I don't really see any other questions. So
okay, maybe given the fact that we're closing in on officially the end of summer, people are out enjoying summer right now.
Actually, for summer, we've got a surprisingly large crowd for summertime.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, but at least my takeaway from the fact that we don't have a lot of questions is that the vast majority of people on this call understand what we're talking about. We've tried to make it simple. We really boiled it down to 7 things you need to make sure you do. And I'm sure almost all of you, if not all of you, are already doing 2 or 3 of those 7, maybe 4, maybe 5 or 6. Make sure you actually update what you're doing to comply with each and every of those 7, and you're going to be in great shape.
Yeah. And Christina, you know, the thing, I don't know what you're talking about specifically. If you're running a continuity program, is to do what Chip just said, is to rewatch the video and make sure you're doing the things in this video for your continuity program. If you went through our process to become a member, you will remember that before you ever gave anybody credit card information or anything else, we had what we call a step one page where you agreed to our terms of service, you agreed to the legal stuff, you put your name and your email address, and that's how we captured the confirmation that you've got it, and we've got it tagged on our side that you confirmed, and then you went to the payment process side.
One important thing is I have prepared this presentation, but I have not gone back through our process, part of which Alan just explained. I think we're okay. I think, but I haven't actually gone back and checked it off to be sure, which I'm going to do tomorrow, and make sure that the only one I'm not sure about is, do we allow people to opt out online? I think we do. So, which would include email, I believe. So,
yeah, if they get an email, they can opt out of everything. Sure.
So, I think we're probably okay as we stand right now already, but I'm going to double check it tomorrow.
Recommendation number 6,
which is,
I don't know. You said the seven things.
It's 7. Let me go back. Let me go back here to the slides real quick.
Yeah, they want to hear they want to know the 7 things again.
All right, let's go back. There are 2 slides that have a red background. And here's the first of the 2. If you can see, share my screen, right?
Yep.
These are the first 3. And then number 6 was the question. Clearly disclose any and all material changes to the terms before they take effect. So if there's some sort of change to the way you're charging or the way you require payment or any of that sort of thing, you need to make sure that everybody understands what they are before they go into effect. That's probably not going to happen to very many of you. I'm not aware. I've talked to a lot of people over the last few years about how to comply with ROSCA, and this one was a ROSCA requirement as well, and very few people change their plan. I mean, they stick with it. So this is not one that based on my experience, that a lot of people are having to worry about. But here are the 7. It's these 2 slides with the red background. You need to copy those things down verbatim and then make sure you follow them, and particularly understand that there are 3 befores in there that are very important. So one of the ways to solve the befores, or at least 2 of these, not 6, is to make sure that on the checkout page, everything happens up top. And at the very, very bottom, you get the billing information and the submission to make the sale. But all of these other disclosures are above that. So that's pretty much the general rule to follow. If you go back and look at number 5, affirmative consent before charging, if you look at our website, Alan was referring to this, before charging, they have to click through twice on our membership agreement. One, there's a checkbox at the top, and the other is they have to agree to it to advance to even get to the checkout page. That's how we do it. The other before here, cancellation policies before, that's 1. Where's the other one? Yeah, affirmative consent before charging. So basically, if on the checkout page where you collect the credit card information and they submit to initiate the charge, you want all of these disclosures before they actually key in their credit card information and before they click submit to initiate the charge. So I think if you're probably in pretty good shape on a lot of these, but anyway, be sure that you copy these down and make sure that you're following these very closely, and you'll be just fine.
Yeah, and also Arlene, I think, is you're asking a question about us having them both at 7 o'clock. Chip and I were just talking about that. We would love to do both Hangouts at 7 p.m. Eastern time. Although we have a lot of members from all over the world, all over the globe, and we actually surveyed last year our audience at 2 different webinars, at 2 different Hangouts, and it was split exactly 50-50. So that's the reason we do one early and one late, so that kind of both sides of the pond, the East Coast and the West Coasters, can make them and ask their questions if they want to. Because we would absolutely love, we would love to do both of these at 7 o'clock, because it's so much easier on us instead of going into the evening to do a webinar. But you know, we've got so many customers on the West Coast as well as Australia and New Zealand and blah blah blah. So that's the reason we do one at 7 and one at 8. There you go.
Popular demand.
Yep. Can FTC Guardian generate a fill-in form for us members to use these documents? And no, I have used some already, but yeah, we actually, Mary, we do have a document. What's that document called? It's called a click-through. The one that we use, what's it called? A click-through membership click-through agreement?
It's called, the name of the agreement in the generator, it's going to be in the supplemental documents. Now, wait a minute. It's going to be in the customer agreement document section.
Yep.
Right? Customer agreement, right? Subscription agreement. I believe it's the very first one that's listed, and it's got a very long name. It's called membership, account membership subscription agreement. And the reason it has a long name is, depending on how you answer the questions, it'll create a different document for you. It'll create a subscription agreement, or simply just setting up an account that you can customers can go back to, or a membership agreement. So the membership agreement on our website that you agree to in order to become a member, it is that same document that's answered the membership way. Yeah. So that agreement would probably be the one, if I remember, the number one agreement with the long name at the very top of the customer agreement section. That's where you need to go.
Yep. Someone asked a question. Oh, we don't have a Hangout tomorrow morning. We only do Hangouts at 7 p.m. The first one is 7 p.m. Eastern.
No.
Yeah. Yeah. And the second one is at 8 p.m. Our Hangouts. Our member-only Hangouts are always at 7 and 8, twice a month. Somebody asked about the emblem on my shirt. It's not reversed. I flipped my camera, so it's actually, you can read it now, right? Chip?
FTC Guardian. Wait a minute. I think
it is backwards.
It's backwards now, I believe. It's so small, it's hard for me to see it.
See, to me, it doesn't look so backwards.
Well, maybe you're right. I don't know. It's hard for me. Let me put on my readers and see if that makes a difference.
Yeah, maybe I have my camera, because I at one time I had flipped my camera, so it.
I think it's backwards.
Is it? Okay, so I had my camera flipped, so it was going the other direction.
But
so
we all know what it says, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it's the way you have your camera set up, whether it's reverse order or something like that. So anyway. Yeah. So, all right. I think we're good.
Okay. Very well, everybody. There's still plenty of time, even if you're on the East Coast, to get outside and have some fun before the sun goes down. So That's one of the great things about daylight savings time. So we appreciate your questions and your interest and your attendance. That's all for now. Good night, everyone.
Good night.